Welcome to today's Explainer. We're about to take a really fascinating journey into a microscopic world that's living right there, right on the surface of your skin. If you've ever noticed weird changes to your hands the second the weather turns wet and humid, well, you're absolutely not alone. We're diving into a phenomenon that's medically intriguing, but also just incredibly common. It's a condition that thrives hidden in plain sight, just waiting for the perfect atmospheric shift. We call it the invisible bloom.
So let me ask you a question that might feel surprisingly relevant today. Why are your fingers so itchy right now? Seriously, think about it. The rainy season hits, the air gets heavy, it's damp, and suddenly, almost out of nowhere, you get this relatable, incredibly frustrating onset of itchy, peeling skin right between your digits. It's a sudden flare-up that seems to perfectly coincide with the rain hitting the pavement outside. But what's actually happening on a cellular level? Redness, peeling, itching, burning, right? These aren't just minor inconveniences. We're talking about severe physical discomfort. For a lot of us, this actually progresses into deep, painful cracks in the skin, and sometimes even those awful, small, fluid-filled blisters. It's literally a localized nightmare. You might be slapping lotion on it thinking, oh, it's just dry skin from the changing weather. But the burning and peeling, it just keeps getting worse. And that's because you aren't dealing with a lack of moisture. You are dealing with an invasion.
Section 1. Meet the invisible bloom, a microscopic threat.
So the invisible bloom is, by definition, a fungal overgrowth. These microscopic fungi, they're actually always present in our environment, just kind of hanging out. But they remain completely dormant until specific environmental conditions are met. They need three main things to awaken and multiply rapidly: high atmospheric humidity, your own body's sweat, and crucially, trapped moisture against the skin. When those three align, the fungi begin to bloom. During the rainy season, it's like a perfect greenhouse is built directly between your fingers. High humidity means the air itself is saturated, which slows down the natural evaporation of sweat from your skin. Then you've got trapped moisture. Just think about how closely your fingers rest together, or what happens when you shove damp hands into gloves or pockets. Finally, throw in excess sweat, which provides the warmth and salt. Put it all together, and you've constructed a microscopic tropical greenhouse right in the webs of your fingers. It's the absolute perfect ecosystem for a fungal spore to thrive.
Section 2. Fungal eczema or allergies, identifying the cause.
Understanding the difference here is absolutely crucial. Eczema and allergies, those are inflammatory responses from your own immune system. They usually present with a more widespread rash and are typically triggered by irritants, stress, or allergens. Dry skin is simply a lack of lipid barriers and hydration, causing the skin to literally snap and crack. But a fungal infection, it's usually highly localized, like it'll start strictly between your ring and pinky finger, and it actively spreads outward in a scaly, distinct ring or pattern. Plus, it comes with an intense, almost unquenchable itch that lotion just won't fix. The big takeaway here is this: fungi actively thrive in dampness. While traditional dry skin cracks because it's literally starved of moisture, fungal infections actively exploit damp, rainy environments to colonize and spread. If you're slathering thick, heavy moisturizing creams onto an active fungal infection, you aren't curing it. Actually, scratch that. You're making it worse. You're feeding it by trapping even more moisture against the skin. Section 3. How fungi takes hold. Everyday habits. Let's rapidly run through the most common environmental and habit-based culprits. Walking around with wet hands or having poor drying habits after washing, those are the top offenders. Then we have excessive sweating, which actually changes the pH of your skin. And lastly, sharing towels. Remember, we are talking about a living organism here. If someone in your house has this fungal bloom and you use their damp towel, you're directly transferring those active spores right onto your own skin. No thank you. Now, underlying vulnerabilities dramatically increase your risk too. It's not just about wet hands. A weakened skin barrier, maybe from overwashing with harsh soaps, gives the fungi a super easy entry point. On top of that, systemic conditions like diabetes can affect your body's immune response and circulation, making it way harder to fight off that initial overgrowth. Combine that with touching contaminated surfaces in warm, humid environments, and the infection takes root so easily. So, this naturally leads us to ask, why is the rainy season the ultimate danger zone? Why the specific time of year? Fungi exist year-round, right? So why the sudden explosion of itchy, peeling fingers the exact moment the monsoon or heavy rains begin? Well, it's a perfect storm of continuous moisture. The scientific reality is that continuous, inescapable environmental moisture slowly macerates the skin. Maceration is, that pruny, soft feeling your skin gets when you've been in the bath way too long. When the humidity is sitting at 90% for weeks on end, your skin is constantly in a micro state of maceration. This breaks down the tough outer protective layer of your epidermis, which basically renders your natural defenses completely useless and allows the fungi to comfortably burrow right in.
Section 4. Stopping the spread. Prevention tips.
It all starts with a crucial hygiene routine. Step 1. Wash your hands properly with mild soap. This removes spores without stripping your skin's natural oils. But step 2 is where most of us fail. You have to dry thoroughly between the fingers. A quick wipe on your jeans? Yeah, that's not going to cut it. You have to get into the webbing of your fingers, because that tiny, dark fold of skin is the exact microclimate where the invisible bloom begins. Drying between the fingers is your absolute ultimate first-line defense.
Building on that, we've got environmental control. First up, use clean, completely dry towels. If your bathroom towel is constantly damp from the rainy season humidity, it is literally a breeding ground. Swap them out frequently. Next, avoid prolonged moisture. If you get caught in the rain or you're doing a sink full of dishes, do not let your hands just sit in that wet state. By actively denying the fungi the water it desperately needs to survive, you essentially starve it to death before it can even multiply.
So the golden rule of rainy season skin health is this: strictly keep your hands dry. I know, it sounds overly simple, but strict dryness is a highly effective, scientifically sound preventative measure. It disrupts the biological needs of the fungus entirely. No moisture, no bloom.
However, we definitely need to provide a vital medical reminder here. If you are practicing strict dryness, but you're still dealing with persistent peeling, severe redness, or lingering painful blisters, it's time to seek professional medical advice. A doctor or a dermatologist can prescribe targeted antifungal treatments that will eliminate the bloom quickly. Whatever you do, don't just ignore it and let an infection deepen to the point of a secondary bacterial infection.
As we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. Are your daily habits feeding the invisible bloom? The next time you wash your hands, really pay attention to how you dry them. Are you rushing it? Are you accidentally leaving that perfect damp greenhouse between your fingers for fungi to exploit? Remember, knowledge is your best defense. Stay dry, stay aware, and please, don't let the rainy season get under your skin.